Ayo, what's up, Radicals? It is your final girl Mo coming at you from the Rad Pack Podcast. Yes, that is right. This is my first official solo video on the Rad Pack Podcast channel, and it's very exciting. What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me today. Like I said, this is very exciting. We are doing something a little different over here at the Rad Pack. We are each individually dropping solo videos on the Rad Pack Podcast YouTube channel for our community challenge. Yes, we challenged the community to create a Rad 9 stack of movies that you had on repeat that made you as a child and as a person. We decided we're each going to drop individual videos of our very own Rad 9 on the Rad Pack Podcast channel. If you missed our anniversary live stream, our birthday of the Rad Pack, go check it out. That link will be in the description box below. But if you're here on the Rad Pack Podcast channel, also hit that live tab and you can check it out there as well. It was just a super fun time. We had special guests. We went down memory lane. We had musical performances, which were awesome. Absolutely fantastic. We had good times over there, so please do check out that stream. It was so much fun. But like I always say, without any further ado, let's get into my Rad 9 movies that made me that I had on repeat when I was a child. Alright guys, these movies are going to be in no particular order, and I also thought it would be fun to show you several different variations of these movies that I have. I didn't grab them all, but I grabbed some of them. So, the first movie on the list that I had on repeat when I was a kid is Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Me and my brother watched this movie to death. I do not have the VHS version of this movie because I'm pretty sure he nabbed that one. I do have the DVD version and several other ones. I would like to have the VHS at some point, but unfortunately that's just one of those movies where the VHS is just too much money for me to justify picking up a movie I'll probably never watch. However, I do have this Squishy Midnight Movies Killer Clowns from Outer Space DVD. I have the standard Blu-ray release, and I also have this really squishy steelbook that came out. So that is an awesome movie. Killer Clowns from Outer Space is just one of those movies I will collect everything for. Moving right along, next up on the list is Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Unfortunately, this is the only version of this movie I have, and it's the UK Arrow release. I do absolutely love this movie, watched it all the time. Elvira is a real pinnacle person to my childhood. Next up, we have Jack's Back. I feel like this movie, unfortunately, doesn't get enough love. It stars James Spader. It's a riff off of Jack the Ripper. It is just a fun little slasher. It has kind of a slow burn to it, but the story is so interesting and the characters are really well written and the performances are awesome. I did recently purchase the VHS for this one, so it is coming in the mail. I was hoping to have it for this video, but I don't. But I do have this Squishy Scream Factory Blu-ray. I'm hoping this is one of the movies they drop on 4K because I will rebuy it for sure. Next up on the list, we have Silver Bullet. Yes, this is my childhood VHS of this movie. I'm so excited I kept some of my childhood VHSs. I watched this movie all the time. It's starring Corey Haim. It is a Stephen King story. I was really big into the Stephen King books and movies when I was a kid, so I have a lot of them. But this one is truly an exceptional werewolf movie. Corey Haim does such a good job. He's such a little squirt in this movie too. He's so young. I love it. Corey Haim was another one of those pinnacle figures of my childhood. I watched all of his horror movies and his action movies and his movies with Corey Feldman. No surprise that the next one on the list is The Burbs. This is also my childhood VHS. I watched this movie all the time. This is one of those movies that it was just me that fell in love with this movie. My brother wasn't big on this one, but I carried this movie everywhere. This VHS specifically, and this is my, I don't want to say childhood DVD, but I bought this movie immediately when it came out on DVD. And I carried these movies with me throughout my entire life. I took them to college. These are the movies that I fell asleep to pretty much every night in college. It's just my all-time favorite movie. I'm not even really sure why. It's funny, it's hilarious, it's dark humor, and I think I just relate to that so much because my personality is very much like, inappropriate dark humor. I try not to get too crazy on my YouTube channel, but that's pretty much who I am. I also have the Shout Select release of The Burbs with the squishy slipcover. I have the Arrow release of The Burbs as well. I also have a few other releases of The Burbs that I did not grab. I have this like really big like French style media book somewhere. Maybe I'll buy every release that I can get my hands on. I am looking for that German media book release of The Burbs, that white one with the really beautiful artwork on it. It's expensive and I can never seem to find it online. So if anybody finds it, send me a link, DM me a link on Instagram because I won't say it. Next up, we have Gleaming the Cube. Of course, you guys hear me talk about this movie all the time. This is my childhood VHS as well. I absolutely love this Christian Slater movie. It is a skateboarding movie, but it's not like your typical coming of age skateboarding movie. It is a drama and action, and it has some murder in it. Christian Slater has to go on an adventure to figure out what happened to his brother. So it is a very, very good movie. Definitely check it out if you haven't. You might be hearing more about this one from us over here at the Rad Pack. But I also have the DVD, and I was really confused as to what version this DVD was because it has this little M down here, and it's pretty basic when it comes to like the information on the back and the artwork and stuff. I found out it's an Australian release, so that's pretty interesting. Moving on, we have Who's That Girl? Me and my brother once again watched this movie on repeat. I still watch it today. It's just a super heartwarming action romance. And I say action romance because Madonna kicks some serious ass in this movie. It's super fun. I don't understand why this movie doesn't get as much love as Desperately Seeking Susan, though. I've seen Desperately Seeking Susan. I liked it. It was fine. But as a Madonna fan, she's not the star in that movie. And that movie is just, I don't know. I don't like the story as much as this one. So I don't understand why this one doesn't get more love as well. So if you haven't seen Who's That Girl, definitely check it out. Unfortunately, DVD is probably the best release you're going to get of this one. This is also one that my brother snagged the VHS for because that was like one of his truly favorite movies. Next, you guys have heard me talk about this one all the time. So if you haven't checked it out yet, do it. Pump Up the Volume is the movie that got me to start a podcast in the first place. I absolutely love it. It is pretty much just a straight coming of age drama. It's not really a comedy, it's not really an action, but it is about a kid trying to figure out high school, and it stars Christian Slater. It's just a really, really, really good movie, and I absolutely love it, and I still watch this one all the time. I find this movie very inspiring. It has a lot to do with like freedom of speech and that kind of stuff. And this one appears to also be an Australian release. I don't know how I got my hands on all these Australian releases, but I did somehow. Last but certainly not least on the list, and I know you guys are like, well, where's The Lost Boys? Where is it on this list? Well, it's right here. It's right here. It's on the list. I wouldn't forget it. I'm sure you guys are getting sick of hearing me talk about this movie, but honestly, this movie was it for me when I was a kid. This movie was ride or die. It is such a cool movie. It stars Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, Jason Patric, Kiefer Sutherland. This is the movie that sparked my love for Kiefer Sutherland. After I watched The Lost Boys and fell in love with it, I went and I watched Flatliners, and I fell in love with that movie too. If you guys haven't watched the original Flatliners, don't bother with that piece of shit remake that they came out. But the original Flatliners is such a deep cut movie. It is such a deep cut movie, which honestly, that one really could have been on this list too. I could have interchanged Flatliners with a couple of movies on this list because I watched that movie all the time too. I don't even know what to classify it. Like, I could Google it and see what Google classifies it as, but it is really, it's a thriller. It's a deep psychological thriller is what I would say, with some paranormal elements to it, but it's also a slow burn. And I think that's what gets people about Flatliners is it's a slow burn, and I feel like a lot of people don't gravitate quite towards those, but damn, is it not a good movie? I'm sorry, I'm wasting a bunch of time talking about movies that aren't on my list, but that one, like I said, very well could have been. Here's the Blu-ray release of The Lost Boys. I also got my hands on the standard Blu-ray Steelbook of The Lost Boys. And I also have that new squishy Xavier release of The Lost Boys with the 4K Steelbook on the inside. I liked this artwork, I'm not gonna lie. I do have the standard 4K release of The Lost Boys, but I chose not to grab it because the artwork pisses me off. They did The Lost Boys dirty on that one a little bit, I feel like. That is it. That is my Rad 9 list. But thank you so much for joining me. This was a super fun video to make for the first time ever debut of a solo appearance on the Rad Pack podcast. Kill the comments below and let me know if you like us doing these kind of videos on the Rad Pack pod, because we'll definitely do more of them. We have more plans for this channel to try and gain traction with all of you guys, and it's just been a fun, wild ride. So if you'd like to help support us, hit those like buttons, subscribe buttons, and kill those bells for all of your Rad Pack peeps. But until the next time we gather, stay killer.